I am Josh.
So what's up, guys? This is another Occasion and Purpose podcast where we have those occasional conversations, but with a purpose.
Exactly.
So I hope you guys are having a good day when you watch this, and if you're not having a good day, well, I hope it gets better.
Hope it gets better. I really do.
And I hope we make it better by you listening to us.
Yes.
Because remember, we're on iTunes now.
Yes. Okay.
We're on Spotify.
How long did it take us to do?
2 months?
Yeah.
We've
been doing this for 2 months. So yeah, we're doing this for 2 months, guys.
2 months, I think.
And we were always talking about doing these crazy things, and like we finally.
That was my first thing. I told you, I'm like, if we're doing this, we gotta take it to iTunes. We gotta take it to Spotify, SoundCloud, all those.
I know it was the first thing I probably should have done, but now I have it. Now I know how to do it. Mm-hmm. It's set up, so now you guys know.
It's a learning process, guys. We're learning.
We're learning.
You guys are learning. You guys are enjoying. So if it's random, blame that guy.
Yeah, blame me.
Don't
blame me. Just be patient. Don't put the blame on nobody. Be patient. So anyway, yeah, it's on Apple Podcasting and it's on Spotify. Very similar to find. Just type in Occasion and Purpose.
Yes. Also, give us 5 stars. Rate us, please.
Rate us. Well, unless you don't like us, you can rate me how you want. I prefer 5s.
Let's put it this way. If you don't like us, give us 5 stars so we can shut up.
Exactly. Ooh, there you go. Thank you. Look at that.
Doing this is a part 2 to what we talked about last week, episode 10, Building a Better Heart. This is Building a Better Heart, part 2.
Yes.
So we're going to go a little bit more in depth in one of the topics that we brought up last week. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to segue it on to this guy who can bring up the topic. What are we going to talk about today?
You know, I want to first start about why we were doing Building a Better Heart. We did say why in the first episode, but I do want to kind of retouch on some of the points that we talked about. That you cannot grow. A lot of people come to me and they see success, right? And again, I told you like 5 seconds ago, life can be relative to who's living it. So what is successful to me is different from what is successful from Doug.
Of course.
Getting a wife and having a house is successful to you, but for me, it could be something totally different. It's just relative to that. And you cannot achieve anything, especially as a Christian person follows the faith pretty well. You cannot be successful in anything that you do until you deal with the things that are going on internal inside of you, you know. And so that's why me and Doug came up with Building a Better Heart, I think, because we kind of talked about some of the things throughout the show, but we never got to dive deeply into it. And sometimes we look at our situation and we wonder why it has not caught up to how we think, you know. And I think the Bible says it best that what's the verse that those who have a good wife, what does it say?
Happy wife, happy life.
Let me no. I want to read it real quick. I took a screenshot of it. I want to just read it to you for 2 seconds. And it says that over here, it says in the Bible somewhere, it says that who findeth a wife findeth a good thing and attains favor with God, right?
You went King James style too.
That's King James. I wanted to read that one.
Art thou wife.
And I wanted to, but the point is that if you're looking for somebody, for example, this is an example. There's a lot of things you could talk about in this, but if you're looking for anybody, you know, that the Bible says that those who find a good wife, that means that for the female, she has to put herself in a mindset already in that wife mentality, even before she's even married. Isn't that crazy?
Well, same thing with the male as well. You have to have that mindset of a husband to find that wife.
Exactly. So when you guys come together,
you're just like,
you're already I'm so glad you caught it. You caught it. Give me that. I love that. So we
didn't even plan this. We
didn't plan it.
Yo, I came unprepared.
It's okay.
I just came.
You know, I was thinking about this too. I was like, you know, the reason why I love Doug so much is, you know, I wouldn't be this person, but the fact that you can live life day to day, but still you take it at a certain seriousness that you don't have to be certainly planned to the exact T. I can just wake up and wing it, but I work so hard at what I do. When I'm working at it, it makes up. You know, and that's just a different way of life.
Counterbalances my misfortunes and me being semi-lazy.
It does. I can be like that. There's no way I could, but he can manage it very well. So I'm very impressed. I'm always impressed by that. But yeah, what we were saying, but before you have to be in that mindset before you even step into the thing that you want. So your life, in many cases, almost every case in people's life, it's gonna have to catch up to your situation. You know, your mindset it can be 10 years ahead, but I'm still living in this, shack of a life. But eventually you'll catch up to it. So you have to kind of be in that mindset to get to that, blessing or that future that you eventually want. But before you even get to that blessing, and how do you even obtain that mindset, you have to kind of start dealing with things that's going on in your heart. Yeah. Because if you have contemplation in your heart, things get messed up. Okay, and so this show specifically is targeting people that are from ages of 16 to ages of 20, I think 5. I think we have a broad group of friends that range in different avenues in life. I know I have, and so I really want to touch on these things, because this is what is plaguing us in our society, especially as guys, and girls too. But even with guys, I want to kind of talk about what is confusion, what can turn into as an addiction, and what can we do? What does God say about it? What do we say about it? How do we live our lives? And does that change in any type of way? Doug, what do you get anything to say about that?
I mean, as a guy, we do, because I know what you're trying to get at,
and we're gonna get into it.
And I know what you're trying to get. Yeah, I know what you're trying to get at, and yes, it's very much like we talked about the last episode. It's very much in our face already. It's in our ears. It's that industry that they put out and then that we see. I mean, it's that
we live in Los Angeles.
We live in LA, so we see that basically the sex sells type of things, and I understand what you're trying to get at when it comes down to addictions and stuff like that, and how we quote unquote have to represent ourselves type of thing as a man. Exactly. But we have to realize that we're not part of this earth, we're not part of this world. So we shouldn't conform to it. We conform the way God wants us to conform. Yeah. So,
and this is where I want to kind of just start being blunt at this point. Now I'm going to try to use big words. I'm just going to try to be realistic as possible. I'll tell you a story. When I first encountered pornography as a little kid, it opened my eyes to a world that I didn't even know existed. It was in fact scary at first, because I didn't know what the heck I was doing or what was even going on. But it felt bad for me. Just
what age?
Oh man, it was probably in middle school.
Okay,
it had to be around that time. It was I
was way younger than you.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't I would say around middle school. I would say for sure.
It was magazine, website. What was it like?
It was from HBO.
Or
Cinemax.
Cinemax, yes.
And it was so. I remember it vividly, and it was just so scary for me because I didn't know what to even do or think about, and it.
But you got the very much tame version of that, because they don't even show anything in that.
And this is the point of this. That is the innocence of a child.
Yeah.
That is the innocence that we're supposed to upkeep and uphold literally throughout our whole life. Yeah. We're supposed to be awakened to it, and we're supposed to acknowledge it that it's there. But at the same time, it still affected me on a very deep level, more than I even thought. Yeah. And I got really confused on what I was supposed to be, what was supposed to be like. And I think that was the start of a darker process of my life of growing up. I think that was the one that kind of troubled me the most. I didn't really have a problem going throughout my everyday life and making friends and all that. I didn't put myself in a bubble, but it did kind of hurt me, and to think of myself lesser than what I should be. And it caused a lot of confusion.
It's kind of the shame type of thing.
Even
though no one else knew that you saw this right here, that you knew, and you kind of had that perception.
And I'm already insecure at this point. I mean, especially
it's middle
6th,
school.
7th grade, 8th grade. You're going through a lot of insecurity. 8th grade, I think I finally got out of the insecurity stage.
You're going into that awkward stage already. You're going into that awkward stage.
And so when you introduce an internet that has so many different ways of looking at what sex is, it can be very scary.
Access
to pretty much anything you want. And there's no way you can control it. You're just exposed to it. And this is where I believe a lot of men get confused and get insecure about themselves. And I even see it with the people I interact with. There's certain things I see, certain things that people do, certain mannerisms, certain, little tendencies that they like to poke at that shows that kind of faulty side of them, that they're still trying to do it themselves internally. And so when I was dealing with all of this, I had to kind of think of myself and say, okay, what is more important? Like I said, the episode we talked about how we came closer to God. When I came closer to God, because think about this, my whole life I'm still dealing with this. You know, I never got a chance to like say this to anybody. My brother didn't understand, my parents didn't understand, my cousins don't understand. This is something that you really have to deal with yourself, and there's no really clear path of getting through it. That's why a lot of people just say, I'd rather just get married because I can at least deal with it that way. And like, for example, like people want to just, I heard somebody tell me, I want to get married so I can have sex. You know, that's the point of it. And that is to me a faulty way of
that's very much a faulty way. That's very much of a like you are putting the idea of what God had for marriage at a very less state of what it is.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be like where two people like come together in agreement of just like, hey, you and me together with God always and forever.
And this is the thinking that you know that most Christians like to say. You know, this is something that, you know, I'm burning with this type of lustful nature. This is how I have to deal with it. And so if think of somebody who doesn't really believe or who just kind of lives their life,
it's kind of just a normal. It's a normal Tuesday.
Yeah, I just want to. I want to go to a club. I just want to find a girl, whatever, you know. And I'm living life, you know. And so, like I said, and that's on a level that's something completely different. You know, that's just most average people grow up like that. But you see a lot of people get insecure about themselves, and they live. And you don't see social media helping either. The way we're growing up in this generation, there's so many ideologies, there's so many ways of thinking. So I want to use big words. There's so many ways of thinking that gets tossed around. And right now, it's what they say is appropriate. Really goes back to haunt us. No, of course. And this is the beginning of the show, and we said that we're trying to talk about things that are praised upon in the community that shouldn't be praised. In fact, it should be cutting things off at this point. You know, and so let's get to scripture. I think we did a lot of talking, and I think I want to just go to scripture.
Let's go to scripture. See what the word says about this.
What I found, I was doing some research, and I want to get biblical for a quick second because I want you guys to be aware of you know how the Bible looks at, you know, immorality, you know, and
sexual immorality. Yes.
Yeah, and how they kind of deal with these things. And if you want to follow along, I'm in 1 Corinthians, and this is chapter 6, and this is I'm gonna bounce around, but verse 13, and it says this. It says, "But you can't say that our bodies were made for sexual immorality. They were made for the Lord, and the Lord cares for our bodies." And then I want to skip down to verse 17, where it says that when people have sex, it basically says this. It says these two are united into one, but the person who is joined to the Lord is one spirit with him. And so when you're going into a relationship that's just about that's just pure immoral, you know, for example, and this is just people having sex, but what if I break it down to something more logical that might touch somebody else? What if it's me watching pornography? You know, if I'm bound to something, which in the way you are, you know, and you're experiencing these things, you are attaching. It's when you're in marriage, you're with one. When you're having sex, you become as one person, so the Bible says, which it seems very true. Even if you're not a Christian, when you're having sex, it seems like you're almost in one, and that's why you have a lot of people have deep attachments. Yes. I think the man has more of attachment than a female does. I know people say that females love harder. I think men love harder. And I think that's why you see things get sometimes toxic, or sometimes you see guys having a tough time letting go to a female because they're so attached, but yet they can't control what they're going through. Because like I said, when I was exposed like a kid, it introduced me to a world I wasn't ready for. Therefore, it's hard and then when you keep on practicing these things, especially with pornography, an addiction like that, you go on and on and on, you know, and you don't know how to control it. Yeah. And now you're getting confused what your relationship was to what you see and what you feel.
Because you're now mixing things that are basically things that are not supposed to be mixed together.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Especially when it comes down to it, like a Christian mindset. Again, we're talking about like the Christian values and stuff like that. Exactly. Because of course, when our values is not gonna conform to what the people's world nowadays, where they say both can now be together and it can be explored and this, that, and the other. But honestly, it can.
You cannot have a true relationship. And a lot of my friends in the South, I think a lot of these people I keep seeing and keep up with, they seem to get it right on this one. That you cannot have a relationship that can go so far, and yet you're just using it as an exploit. you know, that is not what's intended. And it won't be like that when you go to heaven. I can tell you that much, you know, and it won't be like that the rest of your life. You cannot find success. To the people that were asking me in the beginning of the show, you cannot find success when you're looking at your life in this way. When you're treating your life as if it's a toy. When you're treating the things that God gave you as just something that, I want to say it like this. It's a narcissistic idea. Okay? Narcissistic, because I didn't know what that meant for a while, so I'm going to say what it means. It means to be selfish. Okay? It means to only care about oneself. And isn't that what it is? It's a sick addiction, especially like, you know, going to a strip club or going, you know, or, you know, whatever, going on Tinder, you know, because that's the only point for Tinder, right? That's what I'm not on Tinder, but isn't that the point of it?
Trying to make
Heck, you can even use Snapchat. Well, you didn't use Tinder for that. I mean, you didn't use.
No, I didn't use Tinder for that. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, he's talking about.
But I know people do. You know a lot of me.
I'm on a dating. Yeah.
You know, I'm speaking to our age group, and that's what we do. You know, you're using these things because it's very narcissistic. You only care about the pleasure of yourself. I just want to date. I just want to go out with this person. Just I can please myself.
And we had a friend that actually said that. It's like, there's a reason why I'm not on these apps, because I will use them in a terrible way, because I'll use them like, look at all these girls that are texting me, or look at all these girls that swipe right on me or whatever. So that he knew already. Is like, I'm not even gonna touch that area because I know myself too well, and it's just I'm gonna be lost in that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now this girl is looking at you as a toy, and now she's looking at you're looking at her as a toy. So where's the respect for one another?
Yeah.
And this is what the narcissistic idea is saying. It's we have lost the tendency to care for one another. We have lost the idea of how we look at one another, and now it's destroying ourselves. So let's go back to the word of God. What does God say about being a narcissist, basically? You know, in the act of this addiction. It says, run from sexual sin, because no other sin so clearly affects the body as this one. True. Very what true. I just said when I first found this world, it hurt me. Yeah. It's in fact, I was reading. I can close it because I'm pretty much done with that. When I was first, reading this, I was reading the Bible actually last night before we did this, and I was reading about Exodus, and I was reading all the things that God talks about. God talks about all these crazy commandments, so we must upkeep. And for many people who are first even read the Bible, you're like, this is insane. I can't do anything. But literally, these are things that we cannot uphold to. And a lot of these sins, if we ever committed, do not cuss. We cuss. That doesn't affect me pretty much. No?
I mean, kind of, but yes.
But it's a very light, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, you don't feel it. Yeah. Okay, let's go to another one. It says, like, do not eat certain animals.
Okay. Or do not eat meat with any blood in it.
Okay, well, that's we eat chicken every day. So look at that.
So, chicken or beef.
Or beef.
Depending how you cook
how you cook it. Exactly. Yeah. That doesn't. I'm not being affected like that.
Do not mix clothing.
So let's do that. But when you go down to something like sex, that's the only sin that you actually feel guilt.
Well, let's look at David for example.
Oh, let's go. We don't talk about David. I love David.
What happened to David?
What about David? Tell me.
Well, you tell me, because that's your favorite guy. What happened to David when he saw?
Okay, so the thing about David is that David killed Goliath.
Yes.
Okay, he becomes a king.
He was
eventually was fat and we fat. Okay, yeah. Go to it.
I was gonna say that David, he was in God's eyes, he was like, yo, that's my guy.
Yes.
What happened? What happened when he was out and he was?
Well, he was out and he looks at this woman. I know. I was gonna get to it. So he's king at this point, I believe, and he sees this woman from on top of this building, or wherever she's up, or she's somewhere, and he basically cheats and has sex with her, and it kind of destroys him morally because it goes against everything that he was doing.
Yeah. Also, he tried to get her husband killed in the war.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the whole story. Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's a whole thing. Yeah. That happened. All right. Now let's look at I believe it was blanking on the name right now, but it was when
to say the story.
Oh wait, no. It's what's it called? Lot's wife.
Lot's wife. Yes.
What happened there? After Lot's wife looked back, she turned into a pillar of salt. What happened? What did his daughters do to him? Got him drunk, and both of them had sex with the father. Yeah, and what caused that to happen? Two different what's it called?
families.
Yeah, 2 different families happened where it was like the Moabites, I want to say.
Yeah, it was
and the Israelites, or am I wrong on that one?
You might be right. I'm not sure.
That it sounds right. I'm sorry. Again, I'm. This is all from trying to do from memory, and I'm trying to like.
But for more, just read the story.
But again, another thing that happened from sexual immorality, it affects us so much because it can cause so much pain because that thing was meant for your wife, for your husband to be a joint thing, like a covenant type of thing. So where the first thing that God said to Adam and Eve is like, go and be fruitful. Why? Because he wanted to what's it called? Basically take over the land.
Exactly.
Bring kids to this place. Exactly. Yes. But do not mistake it. Why? Because when it comes down to basically having sex with someone, with your husband, and now you guys split, now you're ripping the 2 souls that God wanted to be together. You're ripping them apart. Yes. And we talked about this. I believe this is like the first, like this is episode 0.
Which I'm gonna upload soon. Yes.
Where we talked about that when that happens, there's a reason why divorce is so ugly. It's because it's a ripping of 2 souls, and now that thing that died reanimates again, and now you feel that pain of death again. Once every time you see that person. Yes. That's why it's very dangerous when we just give it out to any other people. We just give it out to that, to that one person. Yes. That one time, because that was meant for someone else. Now they have it. Yes. And just like you'll always have that remembrance of that one person.
And I want to tie this back, to our day and age, and what we're doing and what we say and what we speak and what we do. That this is all hurting us. That this is all hurting us, and in a way that we're, of course, like I said, we're being affected by this. But there is a solution to it all. How can we start doing? First of all, the solution we need to start pointing out to is confronting these type of things.
Confronting that you do have a problem, that you do have, that the way you're looking at this is completely wrong.
Is wrong.
Now, how do we, like the thing that you're believing in that is a lie? How do we combat lies?
Oh man, you go through prayer, through God.
Well, no. How do we combat lies?
Combat lies?
Yeah. How do we confront lies? What do we do to it? We show it the truth.
Yes. It's confront. Yes. Yes.
We talk about the truth. We bring out the truth. And what is
so? Bring up what you're doing. Is what you're trying to say?
Well, no. It's like the lies that you think that this is fine, that this is okay. No. What does the truth say? What does God say about this? What is Jesus? I am the truth. I am the light. I am the way. The only way to get to the Father is through me. So we bring that to Him. And so the lies that we have been believing, or have other people have given to us, we give them the truth. It's like, exactly. No, that's not what I need to run from this. Exactly. Because this will hurt me, and this will hurt other people as well.
And so. And this is the thing that makes me very upset, that people keep asking me these questions of what I need to do and what I need to show, but yet you see the attitude and the demeanor I treat myself. You see what I do. I read my Bible. I'm not telling you to you have to just drop what you're doing and change your whole life, but you need to start acknowledging some things that God has spoken about. If you're watching this show, well, then there's probably a reason why you're watching this show. Don't you think? Don't you think? Oh, let me actually try to read what they're reading. Let me try to practice what they're practicing, doing what they're doing. Yeah. You have to start putting God in your life. This is an awakening. This is a movement.
And you know why this sexual sin is so bad?
Why?
Because it's not only hurting you, but it's hurting the other person as well. Think of all the other ones: being a drunk, getting high, all those things you can do by yourself. You can do that alone. Yes, you can do the whole sex thing by yourself as well, but it's more damaging when it comes down to one too.
I get a lot of problems, Doug. Majority of people who are so young, who are in high school, who are in middle school, they're getting punished from themselves. It's not even. I mean, it will affect a relationship, when you get there. But it affects most men, most young people, because they have access to it through a computer screen, through a phone. It's self-damaging. This is not something that you do, in many cases with other people. That's actually, in another type of situation.
Think about, again, it's still damaging because even if you're just doing it by yourself, now the way you treat people, the way you look at other people, the way you talk to people, the way you talk to your friends, now you are implementing that in their heads as well. Exactly. Even though you don't want to and you're trying to keep it a secret, you're now implementing that in their heads, and now they have it too. Now it starts spreading. It's spreading. Now it's a virus. Now it gets to everywhere. And that's what it is. That's why it's so damaging.
I want to read one more verse to combat that. I like what you just said. I love it, and I want to hammer that in. I want people to understand like what we're trying to talk about, what we're trying to get at. It's over, and if you want to follow along, it's 1 Corinthians.
Again, in 1 Corinthians,
chapter 13.
Ooh,
it's a really good book. Now, see, I'm hinting at. Some of my other friends recently, I was like, you need to read 1 Corinthians because it's so good, so good.
Check out 2 Corinthians.
I want to tie this back to the heart because they're about to be done, and what the heart is all of, because what we talked about.
First of all, I think you need to read that first before you get into this.
Okay.
Read that because I know where you're going at. I know where you're getting at.
Okay.
So
I should just read it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty long, so bear with me, guys. It's 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4, and I'm not going to stop. I'm going to stop at 4 through 7, and then I'm going to just skip to 13. You can read the whole thing, but I don't want to do that. So let's read 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4. Love is patient, and love is kind. Love is not jealous, not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up and never loses faith. It's always hopeful and endures through every circumstance. Okay? Now I want to read verse 13. 3 things will last forever. This says in the Bible: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest one of those things is love. That's what it says. And so you have to kind of encompass in your life at this point. If you want to, I don't want to go into much of what confuses the man or what confuses the person or what causes it to do so much harm to itself. I want to kind of work on the solution. And the solution to fixing this part of your life is to figure out what love is. God is, first of all, is love. That's what the Bible tells us, If you have love and you have faith in your heart, you can fix the things that hurt you. I have learned in my life to deal with those things that cause me pain and cause me harm. I learned to fix those things and combat those things through relying on something that's bigger than me. The fact that I can go and help children or I can go help my friends and be around them, that makes me feel like a wholesome person. That is my joy. That builds me up. That makes me who I am today. And if you can be patient and you can be kind and you can care about one another, you will get everything that you want in life. But of course, it will take a little bit more than that, which we have to get through in the next episode.
Of course, yeah. And to kind of just add to that, all those things that you said, it's like love is patient. I was like, that is all Jesus. That is all God.
Oh, I know. I couldn't even get there, Doug.
That was all God.
I can't even tie it home.
It was like, that was all God. That's who he is. He's patient. He is kind. He doesn't reboast when injustice. He's happy when there's justice going on. And here's the thing for you guys out there. You know what's up. You know how to get the help. The help is there for you. Make sure you have the right people around you, because it's those people that are gonna bring you back. It's gonna bring you back to the truth. I understand it's gonna be an embarrassing, and it's gonna be you're gonna feel shame. But the thing is, when it comes down to God and you get to Him, the shame is gone.
Yes.
He doesn't allow you to have that shame anymore. That shame has been taken away.
Exactly.
So understand that you are still his child. He still is looking for you. He's still reaching out for you, and he's still loving you forever. You have forgiveness and you have love every single day. You have mercy every morning. So, guys, combat the lies with truth. Understand that what's going on is not real. What you guys are doing is harming you and potentially will hurt the future whatever you have left or you're gonna meet. If man for a wife and wife for a man, you're gonna potentially hurt them, and it's gonna hurt you, and then something ugly might happen. But you know what? it might be ugly, but God will always turn out to be beautiful because He's continuously be good every single day.
All things work for the good of him that love the Lord. You better remember that verse.
Man.
I can't even dive into it. But in the next episode, we will, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy Occasions and Purpose, episode 11. We'll be back again next week, every Monday at 9 a.m. The episode releases on YouTube and Spotify and Apple iTunes. So you can catch us there. Yeah. I think this episode, I hope it resonated with some people. I hope
we were able to kind of like expand a little bit more, and you guys can understand it as well. And if we missed something, please let us know. Leave it in the comments. Leave it on IG.
DM us the page or whatever. Ooh, we're all here for you guys. So Doug, if you're gonna do good
just because.
All right, guys, we love you. God bless and bye.